So, away from a lot of the normal discourse that we see, where it's black men versus black women versus black men, right? Away from both of those sections, right? This is something that a lot of those groups are not used to actually seeing, which is this image right here. This is what black love looks like. This is a couple who is together. You can obviously see in the description the brother came home tired and he has an interview or somewhere that he needs to go. So his significant other, she decides that, you know what, let me sit up there and give him, a fresh look. Let me, spruce up his hair a little bit so that he can look A1 when he's going into wherever he needs to go. This is what black love looks like. This is what a lot of black people are not accustomed to seeing, right? Literally for me, I can only name, I think, probably less than five black women from my time period, right? That were active in the barbershop scene and that were, darn good at cutting hair. Finding a woman like that is a rarity, and also having a woman like that is a rarity, and a woman that loves doing it is ultra rare. Like I said, because nine times out of 10, you will find women that are very great at braiding, doing a variety of styles and, different things of that nature. That's normal amongst our culture. What's not normal is seeing young girls or black women that are able to cut hair and do it well. And, the main thing that I want to state is that this is black love. This is something that we should be accustomed to seeing, right? Instead of a lot of the trauma, instead of a lot of the stuff dealing with previous history, dealing with slavery, instead of dealing with the gang culture, the drug culture, all of that stuff, this is something that we should be more accustomed and used to seeing, right? And this is why I tell people that imagery is important. What you decide to surround yourself with picture wise, this is why it is very important because it will shape the narrative, it will shape the story, it will shape your view, it will shape your life. And if it could potentially do that for, let's say, an adult, what do you think that it would do for a young child? Just think if all black kids, right, grew up with seeing positive imagery of black people. Just think how their lives would turn out. Just think of, how they would talk, how they would act. You know, think about the transition, the shift in culture. Because I remember, you know, in the early 90s, you had a lot of black sitcoms, you had a lot of black shows. And those shows would primarily focus on black lives, black culture, black things, black education, black expectations, black excellence, black greatness. It would focus on all of that and especially black love. And you got to see black people have relationships. You saw the ins and outs of those relationships. You saw some people break up. You saw some people get back together. You saw some people get married. You saw some people formulate families. You saw a variety of things. And one of the main things that was taking place when it came to, let's say, like a different world, is that you had a lot of young black people during that time when they saw a different world and they was loving that show and other shows on top of that, and they would talk about the black colleges. The the kids growing up during that time, that inspired them. The teenagers during that time, that inspired them to want to go to black colleges. That enabled more enrollment to happen, right? So then when you had all of this black positivity basically happening, all of these black sitcoms talking about black love, black excellence, black thought, right? Black knowledge, black intellect, they erased it. They killed off every single show and they never came back because they realized that the powers that be realized the power of imagery. So they're like, you know what, we're gonna end, all of this. They'll say it was bad ratings. They'll say it was this. They say it was that. When it was none of those things. They ended it because they did not want black people feeling or being empowered by seeing a positive image of themselves. What they wanted black people to be empowered by was seeing negative, harmful, and detrimental images of themselves so that that same exact process, that they're seeing in those images, that black people will repeat that in real time in their lives. And not just that, that their kids will also grow up initially seeing this. So this is how their viewpoint, this is how their narrative will automatically start, where they'll see these caricatures, they'll see these real life images, they'll see people who are in their family who are reflective of these negative images, and that is helping to reinforce and also indoctrinate them, making it easier for them to absorb a lot of that negative imagery and feel that this is the story that I have to live, so that they will just go along with the process and not question anything. And this is why we have the culture that we have at this moment in time, where we have a lot of people, both black men and black women, that say that, in a sense, black love doesn't exist, that everybody wants to date everybody else and nobody wants to date black people, when realistically that is not the fact at all, statistically speaking, because a lot of people want to talk from their feelings, from their emotions, from their bad experiences of what they chose to be in. They don't want to talk the facts and the statistics that on a higher average, you have black men and black women that want to date and that want to be in relationships and that want to be married to each other, versus everybody else that opposes that. Like I said, this is what black love looks like. This is what should be an inspiration, right? Instead of trying to follow somebody else's love narrative and their story and their viewpoint of, a knight in shining armor and, all this other type of stuff this is what we should aspire to have. This is what we should aspire to see. This is what we should be initially putting out, something that is real, something that is tangible, something that we can actually see and walk by, view on a everyday basis when we go down the street. This is something that we should want within our own families, and not the same chaos, not the same violence, not the same detrimental actions, not the same negative stereotypes. This is something that we should want. But the problem is, realistically, do the black people out here that always go against the narrative of black love, do they actually want something that they've never obtained, never seen, never wanted, and never heard about, and never experienced? That's the question. That's the question. And the other question is, if you've never had or experienced something, how can you then decide that you want to go against something that is actually so positive, that has so many positive benefits? And this is what I happen to tell people, that you got to pay very close attention to the individuals that are out here, both in the comment section and people who also do videos, because you don't know if a lot of those individuals are being paid in order to give you a narrative and a stereotype that is detrimental, so that you can be persuaded to do something vastly different. Because a lot of the people on here who make videos are being paid and sponsored by other individuals that do not have your best interest at foot, at hand, first. So, like I said before, pay very close attention to the people that you decide to, listen to, and and watch a lot of things. Like I said before, this is one of the most beautiful videos that I've seen in a long time. And I would love to see more black couples put out videos like this, create social medias like this, so that this will become, instead of a rarity, an oddity, this becomes normalcy. This is something that should not be a rare sight to see. This should be an everyday thing that we should see. Because the main thing that I've understood about black people is the Midas touch, is that the moment in time that we take pride and respect and love and value ourselves, that's when other people will, in a sense, do the exact same thing for themselves. Like I said, people don't even understand how a lot of things even work out here. I'm not talking about people just coming through and trying to respect us. I'm stating that people will automatically start loving, valuing, and respecting themselves more. And from all of that going on, of course, we're going to get what we should be getting directly back.